Hello, this is Kristen from Massively Tiny Stitches, coming to you again with a Stitch With Me. This is Mini Princess Asleep. Artwork is by Yvonne Gilbert. The mini version, I don't know if I said that. It is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I am currently at 74 and change %. So I am getting very close to my next big milestone, which is 75%. So that's exciting. Getting close. My goal for the end of the month is to get to 80. I started out at 70, so I am a little bit behind. I'm hoping that I can catch up this weekend, but we'll see. We'll see how much time I have for the stitching endeavors. I'm gonna zoom in on you guys a little bit. See if that helps. There we go. A little bit of adjustments here. Sorry, guys. But yes, I am getting close. Getting to the final spurt of this. I'm very much hoping that when I get to the tail end of it, it'll just fly through. But I do have a lot of colors still in the mix, so that will just very much depend on what's going on. Do this way. There we go. It's getting in my way. But yes, getting close to the end. I am definitely stitching at a time when I usually don't. So everything is a little bit weird. The lights are different, although it looks like it's actually working out better for you guys than it usually does, because it's not relying on my camera light. There's some natural light coming in. Trying to think what's been going on this week, but I think it's a relatively calm week in terms of personal stuff going on. Certainly work is work, but outside of that, I'm not going to say the Q word. I did a lot of my training in hospitals, so I say that I was raised in the hospital system from a grad school perspective. So I have learned very much not to say the Q word, but all is well. You're never allowed to say when something is slow that it is the Q word. Those of you that know, they know. But it is very taboo in the hospital system. Really don't have much to talk about today, actually. My YouTube today decided, or this week, has decided I wanted to watch airplane mistakes videos. So it's kind of weird learning about this new area of functioning, I guess, that I don't know anything about, but I will not pretend that I will ever know enough about piloting an airplane to be able to contribute to any of those videos. But it's kind of interesting. It has very much made me believe that I do not want to ever go on a little tiny plane, because I'm pretty sure almost all of the ones that I have seen so far have been on like the less than 5 people sized planes. So future reference for me, that nope. There was one where they said that it was an accident video. I don't think that plane actually crashed. I think it was some weird malfunction thing that happened, but they said that they were 130 pounds over the weight limit for it, and so they had to get one person off of the flight. I'm like, can you imagine being that one person that was kicked off because it was too heavy? And like, oh no, I'm good. Like, I'll take the next flight. Even though in the moment you would have been really pissed that your flight was changed and all the headache that would have been in that moment. But I cannot imagine the survivor's guilt that would have come up from that sort of situation where it's like, I was supposed to be on that plane. I bought a picture from Painting Fairy Today, a stamped kit. I definitely shouldn't have. I have way too many patterns as it is, but it's Sam and Dean. I can't. It's the two main characters from Supernatural and their car and them fighting a demon. But Supernatural is one of those shows that's a comfort show, I'll call it. Where it's like, I'll throw it on if, I don't feel like figuring out something new to watch. Right, the comfort of an old friend that you've seen a million times, so you know what's gonna happen, but that kind of comfort show for me. It was definitely one that I have watched the majority. I don't think I've ever actually made it through all of it, quite honestly. I liked it a lot more at the beginning of the show, where it was more supernatural, less biblical. It definitely made a shift into the biblical direction for it, right? So I think that was a shift that I just didn't care for that much, but I still liked the show, broadly speaking, so. It's just one of those things. I don't remember whether I said this or not before, but I am a lover of any fairy tale retelling. I actually find it funny that I don't have more fairy tale related stitches, because that's such a genre for me, whether it's TV, whether it's books that I read, any of that sort of stuff. If it's a retelling, I probably will want to watch it, or I'll enjoy it as soon as it's on. I think there's something so fun about thinking you know what's going to happen and then it is different, right? How are they going to connect these two dots, or are they going to try and do that? I think it's really fun. So when Once Upon a Time was on television, that was one that I loved. If you've ever seen Grimm, that was fun too, although that was a little bit more fantasy than I would say it's a retelling, but there's just a whole bunch of those different types of shows that they're fun. They're fun to watch. My wife was joking with me the other day. She was like, you should probably have like a topic that you talk about every week or every session. Like, that's probably true, but also there's some fun in just talking about what's on your mind, right? What's happening. But I think she says that just because she has never watched FlossTube. She doesn't know how normal it is for people to just be talking to themselves. That's just what we do as Stitchers, right? Just talk to ourselves. That's all right, though. We went on to a walking trail yesterday. I think it was like a 3-mile-ish walk. There was a dog barking at us through a fence, so I cut off of the trail itself over to the fence to try and go pet the dog, as I do. And I ended up with a tick on me yesterday, so now I have the heebie-jeebies of I feel like something's walking on me. It is not a fun thing. It seems so early to be tick season, but there it was. So gotta start putting on tick prevention and all that sort of stuff when we take the dogs out too. Ticks are one of those things that like mosquitoes, I have the blood type 4. just like me. It was a bright and early like morning for me. So I'm actually super tired. I'm tempted to have an energy drink today. I don't think I have any at the house though. I don't do that very often. I know it's not good for me. So I try to avoid it as much as I can. But you know, sometimes there's days. Sometimes there are days when you're just tired beyond all get up. Something's weird here. What's happening? Maybe not. One of the things I've been thinking about, so I have one of my first pieces was Super Size Max Color Oracle of Visions Party. It is a Ciro Marchetti piece. It was one that I to this day I have no idea why it calls to me as much as it does, but it is just one of those pieces that, like, I say it speaks to my soul, but it's one of those things where, like, I look at it and there's no one element that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need X part of this pattern, but the piece as a whole feels like I need it. But I was looking at it and I think reality hit me. That I don't have enough time in the world to stitch all of the things that I want, so it's one that I've been toying with the idea of cropping it. Certainly the part that I would be cropping is all of the parts of what I've already stitched, but because it spoke to me so hard, it was one of those things that, like, for Christmas, I think it was Christmas and birthday, my birthday's right after Christmas, so kind of like a combination present. I asked for that to be my gift for the year, was to get that fully kitted up, and have, I actually had Heaven and Earth make the material pack for it, back when they used to do that, and so I had it made up, and so I feel really bad, right? Like, it's one of those things of, like, it was kitted up and it is so expensive for them to have done that, and at the same time, I know for a fact I do not have enough time in my life to probably stitch all of the pieces that I have going right now, let alone all of the ones that will catch my attention at some point in the future. So I am thinking I'm going to crop it instead of getting the smaller version of it. But even thinking about cropping it, I'm like, I don't know which parts I really quote unquote need. I have, like, one of the motifs that's in it that I'm, like, okay, like that's a part that I like the feel of. I like the movement. I like how that looks. But everything else was very much like, maybe I want this, right? Like, but I don't want to lose the feel of it, and so I'm so scared that I'm going to crop too far, that then the feel of the pattern is lost, I guess is the best description I have for it. But also, I think I saw the other day that it's like 800, almost 900,000 stitches. It's like 900,000 stitches. And so the idea of stitching that is like this one here. I am 60,000 stitches in, and I think I'm maybe 3 years of stitching this, right? So multiply that by, 10 plus. Like, there's no way that I can work on a piece for three decades and hope that it's ever gonna get finished, right? Like, legitimately, I'd be put in my 60s, and that's not reasonable. And that's even assuming that, like, I work at the pace that I did right now for this, which, don't get me wrong, this piece I have had periods where I set it down and didn't pick it up. Oh, I'm totally off the screen. There have definitely been times when I didn't pick it up, and that's why it's taken me 3 years. I picked this up kind of quote unquote for good in November of 2025, so like 5 months ago, and since then I've stitched like 40% of it, so it's been a good 30,000 stitches. But that same motivation would not happen for an entire piece. Not a piece that big, at least. So I did start cropping it yesterday. I am thinking I'm probably gonna still stitch it in the same like orientation and everything as the part that I've already started. That way, if I find out that I don't like the crop that I did, or that, I stitch up that section and I'm like, oh, I actually still want to, now I want to go back and finish it, like the quote-unquote whole thing, instead of the crop, that I can still do that. I don't think I will make that decision to go back and stitch the rest of it. But I do still love the piece in that sense. Like, I still want to stitch a good majority of it. Although, after doing the tentative crop yesterday, and I think I'm maybe halfway through marking stuff off on Pattern Keeper is the way that I go through and do a crop. I mark it as complete stitches, so that I can kind of see what this looks like at the end of it. But I think I'm at like 150,000 stitches. Yes, I stitched 150,000 stitches yesterday. Duh, guys, I marked them all as complete. And so I think I'm only like halfway done. So I'm literally cutting the project in like half, I think. by doing this crop, which to me, I think the time of it is going to be worth more than the extra value of the parts that I've cut off. I've essentially made it like my own story keep kind of cropping. That's the entire like center column of the pattern. Just so that I can, the main like parts of it, the main feel of it are still there, but there's not as much of the setting the stage, which in this case is quite literal. What is the parts that I'm cutting out, but it's the like curtains and the lanterns and stuff like that that's on the circus stage. That's there, and yes, there are some characters that get cut out in that process too. I hadn't noticed how unbalanced the picture was until I started cropping, where I'm like, okay, there's a clear line here of where I could crop and then not really lose any parts that I'm really super interested in. But then on the other side, I didn't feel the same way, that there wasn't a good like cut point for it. So then I had to just make a judgment of like, okay, this is the spot, or this is close enough for the rest of it to feel balanced. I was really tempted to stitch one of the figures that I'm keeping like over 10 stitches, so that I had a little bit more of the figure into the part that I'm actually stitching. But let me tell you, I do not have the mental energy to figure out what parts are part of that, like that specific motif, that specific portion of the pattern, nor to be able to move it over and then make sure that it's not covering other parts of the pattern that are also important or that I like the feel of. So that's just the reality of it. I am going to just crop off his arm and it will be okay. That he won't have a pointed finger. It was a dancer. That's the part that I'm like cutting in the middle of, that I like his body movement. But he's getting an amputation. Why is this? Oh, because that's a different roll. This is why I don't know if you guys saw that. I have two different sections kind of going here. This is why I don't like having the pre-cut lengths on these bobbins. I like having one full long one. Though these are easier to find where an end is. It's just not usually the end that I'm actually looking at. So that's a thing, but that's okay. This color wants to be stitched today. I only have 700 stitches left of it though. I'm getting close to the point where I'm gonna want to start doing some color completions again on the piece. I have a couple that are at like less than 200 stitches maybe, but not very many. And so I have one that's at like 55 and then a couple at like 100 and change. But then the rest are still pretty high, at least for me to like finish out a color. Or they're really scattered. Sometimes they are pretty scattered that it doesn't feel the effort isn't worth it if they're too scattered for me. there are times when I instead will just write out what's happening. I have no idea where I am. Nope, that's where I am. But yeah, once I get down to like finishable numbers, I will probably do a handful of them again and then work down the top colors again. And it's kind of what I've been doing for the last bit. Certainly you guys have seen me working more concentratedly in a specific area. That's not necessarily typical of what I do, but I will alternate between like, oh, I want to work in an area to like fill that out and make sure that it like looks good, or that like I feel accomplished because I finished something, parts of it. That is sometimes what I do. The other sometimes that I do is I will just grab a color and just stitch it until it's done. So I am getting close to the stage where I will want to do that, grab the color and stitch out again. While you guys have been away, I've been working in a different color, or a different corner of the pattern, because I don't know, I assume people want to see like more finished objects. So I was working in like the background area of the different part of the pattern while you were away. Granted, I've already deviated from finishing up a section as of today, because I was working on the bunny, and now this is my 4th strand of this color. Why did I do that? I don't know, but it's apparently what my fancy strikes right now. That is not the way that phrase works, but anyway, it strikes my fancy, and that's okay. So I'm doing it because it feels good. I think I am going to have to do a balancing act between these light areas and these dark ones, though. I think that's why I'm trying to finish out this bunny, is because I'm avoiding going up to that fabric area. Sorry in advance. The girl is about to make a nest in a blanket over here, so she might be a little loud for a second. Oh, she's pretty quiet today. Sometimes she gets very vigorous in her need of getting the blanket just right. Also takes her 10 years to do it. Yeah, I don't know if other people have had dogs, but most of my dogs that I've had before her would do like, I don't know, 2 circles, maybe 3, and then lay down and be fine. I swear she does like 10 circles before she decides to sit down and figure out what she's doing. So she just is very particular. She thinks there's lots of snakes under her blankets. Supposedly that's why they do that. Oh, I just realized I never actually posted my schedule for us. Huh. I should probably do that. Long story short, though, Monday, Thursday, I plan on working on my focus piece, which right now is this one. If for whatever reason I'm like burnt out on this piece, I'll work on my secondary focus, which was that tarot card piece that I worked on last week. That's my secondary focus. But I'm just really trying to get some good progress in my main pieces on those days. I just missed that stitch, that's okay. On Tuesdays is when I'll do my mini pieces. I'm sorry, I have a index card over here. But my miniature stitching pieces can just focus on it. There we go. So Monday is my Princess Progress right now. Tuesday's that mini masterpiece. Wednesday is Forgotten Floss when I decide I'm going to film on Wednesdays. That's going to be my like old projects, so like dimensions kits or things like that I have kind of sitting around that are languishing in the pile of I have too many whips. Thursday is this one again. Friday is going to be my Freaky Friday, so that's the stitching on unconventional materials, right? So right now I'm working on that one that I just started on a canvas again, but I will do that. And then the last one is my weekend one. If I decide I want to film on the weekend, that is going to be I'm calling it no counting, just stitching, so more of a stamped kit probably, types of it, or like I'll say even like embroidery or like non-counted cross stitch for that one if I decide I want to film on the weekends. I think that's what I like in terms of a schedule, but I am nowhere near committing to all of those every week at the moment. My work life in particular is way too chaotic for that to be a thing right now for me. That I just, I have too much. So I am doing what I can, and that is good enough. If you can't tell, I am a recovering perfectionist. Yeah, it is hard to not go 100% into everything that I do. And I know that if I do that on this side of it, that as soon as I'll say I make a mistake, right, like I decide not to film or I'm too tired or any of that sort of stuff, then I'll throw in the towel and say like, oh, I don't need to, like, it's not worth it then. And that's not what this is for, right? This is giving me internal motivation to continue stitching. It's also building a community. It's sharing what I love. It's having that sense of this is something, fun that I do, and I'm finding another avenue of being able to enjoy it. So that's what I'm doing with my videos. All the different versions of stitching that I like doing, that I'm working on. I am jumping around a little bit for you guys. I have the right side of my fabric pinned against my poppin' box, so it's kind of doing a little rotation get jig for you, but it's also saving me from moving too much out of your guys' line of sight accidentally. feel like I don't have anything to talk about stitching wise because I've been watching whip parades, heck, even whip parades that I've seen before, but from like 2023 or 2024. I'm like, I'm going back and watching those. Why? I don't know, but they're long form videos that I like watching. It's fun watching whip parades even when I know that it's outdated or like, oh, I've seen them finish this project, right? It's funny to go back and watch some of those older ones. One of the ones that I was watching yesterday was Yantina Stitches, and she is stitching the regular size version of this project, or at least was stitching it. I don't think she's finished it, but at that point she was like just in the like upper corner of the piece still. I'm like, oh, yep, that's the part I haven't done yet, so I'll see the more detailed version of it kind of coming through, which is fun. I don't mind seeing other people's progress. I do get discouraged by watching someone stitching the same piece that I am like a million times faster than I do, because I'm like, oh, what's the point? Like, I'm never gonna finish this. But that's more a byproduct of like that I don't have enough time in the world to stitch as much as I want to. That was one of the, I was talking with my wife yesterday about, like, you know, we both recognize that my job is stressful, and so what can we do to minimize stress as much as possible at home, right? Knowing that work stress isn't gonna go away, or that like when one season of stress ends, a new one begins kind of version of it. And that's one of the things that I was talking about with her, is that like for me stitching is that, which is why I've been very cognizant of making sure that I am doing these videos consistently as much as I can, but that is forcing. I'm not resisting very hard, don't get me wrong, but it's forcing me to make sure that I'm taking care of myself, right, and that I'm doing something that is relaxing for me. That's also why I didn't want to put too much pressure on like a full filming schedule. That I don't need 7 days a week. Like right now, it's not feasible for me to make that commitment. Do I want to grow into that? I don't know yet. Time will tell. But I at least have that as options, right? And that also makes it so that like even if I don't do it every week, but like if there is a certain type of project that you are looking for, that you can find it, or you can look for it in a certain like playlist where you can try to find it yourself, right? That was the last time that I worked on it. Depending on the type of project it is. Gives me a little bit of a rotation too, which is nice. Can't decide what I want to have as my secondary focus though after I finish this one, right? So I'll finish this one, and then the Lover Tarot cards piece is going to be then my main focus piece. But I have to then figure out what I want to have as my secondary. which was totally in the wrong spot, guys. Don't worry about it. Do I care enough to undo it? Nope. Recovering perfectionist. But yeah, I'm debating on one of my full-size beads as being my next focus, my secondary focus. I have my two oldest are, well, I call it Steampunk Girl. That's not what her actual name is. Steam Heart, I think is what her actual name is, by Chris Ortega. It is a regular size project. And then the Super Size Max Color Oracle Visions Party. Those are probably my two oldest. I don't know if that's actually literally the oldest two, but they're my oldest two largest ones. Parts of it. I have a bunch that are literally just like I did Mania one year, and so I have a bunch that have like 100 or 200 stitches into them, and then I never touch them again. Kind of feel to them maybe they have 1,000 if I'm lucky, but they're very much not having a lot of progress that I don't feel completely obligated to stitch those ones right away. But yeah, so I have an Unearth one. I think Steam Heart is older, if I'm not mistaken off the top of my head, but I have learned though, I still very much want to stitch all of it, but it is a lot of sky stitching, and it's like the very faint blue version of sky stitching, so it is going to be harder on the eyes to be able to do a lot of at once. The background I'm stitching all intent stitch though, and just the main figure, there's one central figure for it. She is then being stitched as a full cross, so I'm hoping that will make it easier and faster to work through the project, through all of that sky part of it, and I don't think you'll lose that much detail. I mean, you don't lose detail, but I don't think the style will influence the way that it feels that much, if that makes sense. But I think that's gonna be, I think I'm gonna have that one as my next focus, secondary focus, and then main focus part of it. I think I'm liking having that kind of pattern or process, that I have the main focus that I work on as much as I can and to not get burned out, and then a secondary project that's like when I'm feeling burnt out and don't want to stitch on the main person. I did learn, however, with the combination of these ones that I have right now, so Princess Asleep, Mini Princess Asleep, and the tarot cards, is that they have a lot of the same thread colors, or at least, in the warm reds kind of family. And so it doesn't feel like a stitching relief. It does from like a stitching style perspective, because it's on such different counts, but from a like, oh, I'm sick of seeing red, I think was the feel that I had, or like, oh, I don't want to stitch brown today. I need a different color besides brown, which is essentially what all of this piece is. I have a little bit of like yellows and purples, but then otherwise it's red and brown and like peach tones. And the tarot card one is very similar in that sense. It is brown, white, and then certainly the fabric is then the blue color. So I am trying to learn from that quote-unquote mistake, but that decision, and pick another set that have different color families that I'm working with. That way it doesn't feel as monotonous, especially because most of them are oh, what's the word I want? The same fabric. Sorry, my brain was really short-circuiting. I could not figure out what was happening in the project. Yeah, most of them are on 28 or 32 count, so there's not much of a feel change in terms of the size of project, though that might be another way of picking my focus / secondary piece. Alrighty, I'm gonna call it quits here though. This turned out to be 50 minutes. How did time pass so fast? I'm like, oh, I only stitched one color. I did several strands of one color, but I only stitched one color. How did it spend so much time? Alrighty, guys, that was a good, what does that say? 127 stitches that I stitched on today. And that's a wonky stitch that I'm going to fix before I leave. And by that I mean stitch this first leg again. It's a slip stitch. I will be back tomorrow with more on my canvas piece. That's what tomorrow is. So here we go. I will zoom out for a second. And here is our progress. Again, almost done there. I was working in, filling in her blouse a little bit today. And then I've been secretly stitching up here, filling in that top corner. Is where the other part that I've been working in. So, with me getting to 75%, trying to make it so that the bottom corner is really the last part that's left. So working in all directions, working towards the bottom corner. Alrighty, guys. Well, certainly I will see you soon. I'll move these out of her way. Those are all just waste threads that need to be cut off. But I will see you guys soon. And working on this project again. Take care. Bye.